Did you know that every candidate of Senior 6 doing biology and is following BiologyKingUg is going to pass biology this year, 2026? Today, we want to go through this item that happened in UTEC MOCK 2026. It was item 6, that is paper 1, piece 530, paper 1, section B, part 2. This item 6 here, it came from ecology, and also some aspects of inheritance and evolution are there. Now, in the quest to improve herbal medicine, in the quest, according to this item here, in the quest that a traditional herbal medicine company introduced an exotic shrub. They introduced an exotic shrub, of which this exotic shrub has got medicinal importances. They want to get extracts from it so that they make for us medicine. Now, somewhere there was in this area here, there was a game reserve. Now, environmentalists monitored what was happening before the exotic shrub and after the introduction of the exotic shrub after some time. Now, the exotic shrub was grown somewhere, not in the real game reserve, but near the game reserve. Now, before the invasion, the native grasses, which are not needed for medicinal purposes, of course, were 640. After invasion, 210. This was the hectare. This was the area covered by these grasses. Before invasion, they were covering 640. After the invasion, they were covering 210. You see, that's a very strong decline. After the invasion of what? After the invasion by what? Invasion by the exotic shrub, which was introduced for medicinal purposes. Okay? The native grasses reduced from 640 to 210. Now, at the beginning, the exotic shrub was covering 15 hectares. After invasion, because it invaded the game reserve, after invading the game reserve, they were covering 390 hectares. Think about that, from 50 to 390, as the other ones are declining rapidly. The estimated carrying capacity for antelopes was 1,500 in the game reserve. After the invasion by this exotic breed, they reduced to 650. Meaning, what did you take from there? It means antelopes were feeding on the native grass, not on the exotic grass, meaning that the exotic grass was non-palatable. Good. Now, antelope population was 1,180 before the invasion. After the invasion, this number reduced to 540. You see? To 540. Now, also look at the carrying capacity. Before the invasion was 1,500. After the invasion, carrying capacity was 650. You see? Meaning carrying capacity has declined. As it is declining, also the amount declines of the antelopes. Lion population, before the invasion, they were 96. After the invasion, they reduced to 42. Meaning, lions feed on antelopes. Before they were 96, when antelopes were 1,180. When they declined to 540, the lion population dropped to 442. Good. Now, they went ahead, and during the same period, the authority established breeding enclosures to increase the declining antelope population. Only males with large body size and long horns were allowed to mate with the females because these characteristics were considered desirable for future breeding programs. So they introduced breeding programs in enclosures intending to increase the population of antelopes, but they considered particular traits. Two of them here: long body size and long horns. Long body size and long horns. Now, 8 years later, the environmental estimated the allele frequency of allele A here and allele capital A and allele small a. From our Handweight-Baggs equilibrium, allele capital A is P. Remember, our equilibrium is P squared plus 2PQ plus Q squared equaling to 1. This is our Handweight-Baggs equilibrium. This is our Handweight-Baggs equilibrium. Okay? Now, they determined the frequencies. Before starting the selective breeding intended to increase large body sized antelopes and longhorned antelopes, before the frequency of A, allele capital A, was 0.62. That one was small q was 0.38. What were they doing? These alleles, allele capital A codes for production of skin coat color that provides camouflage against predators. Now, because you are intending to increase antelope population within this game reserve, you have to, it is of a good strategy to intend to increase an allele that codes for a color that can camouflage with the game reserve, so that lions cannot easily spot these antelopes, or the antelopes become inconspicuous to lions. Now, before the selective breeding, allele A that codes, capital A that codes for camouflage by the antelopes was 0.62. Now, the frequency of allele small a that doesn't code for camouflage was 0.38, meaning this allele here is recessive. Okay? Now, 80 years after selective breeding, the allele that codes for selective breeding increased to 0.79. That one increased to 0.79. That one that doesn't code for camouflage, which is recessive, decreased to 0.21. Remember, it is the one which is being fought. These environmentalists are fighting this allele that codes for non-camouflage. Okay? Now, following the study, the Wildlife Authority consulted an environmental expert on appropriate management strategies. The expert recommended allowing random mating during captive breeding of antelopes. Random mating. The expert recommended allowing random mating during captive breeding. Allowing random mating during captive breeding of antelopes. Okay. Also recommended using appropriate herbicides to control the exotic weed. These were the interventions the expert was giving that can lead to the increase of the antelopes of the desired trait, i.e. antelopes having large body size, long horns, but also camouflaging, okay? Having capital A allele, okay? Using appropriate herbicides to control exotic shrub. Now, the third intervention was close monitoring. Recommendation was close monitoring of antelope population, okay? Now, task A asks, analyze the causes of changes in populations of plant and animals in the game reserve, and also changes in allele frequency. So they want us to analyze the changes in populations of plant and of animals in the game reserve, and also changes in allele frequency. They want us to analyze. Okay, good. Now, B, defend the environmental expertise recommendation. Excuse me. Defend the environmental expertise recommendation and advise the Wildlife Authority accordingly. So those are the two tasks on that item. Now, allow me to rub off the first table. Let me reserve the second one. Let me rub off the first table. In the second video, we are going to go through. I'm going to give you my analysis. in the second video. Those ones who want to see the full video, it is on YouTube. The full video of this analysis is on YouTube. Okay. Now, what happens is that let us try to go through this analysis here. Now, when you look at task A, it wants us to analyze the changes of the causes of the changes in population of plants, animals, and in the game reserve, and also changes in allele frequency. Now, when you look at task A, the table here, I'm going to use the one which is here. When you look at task A, the changes, let's first of all look at the causes of the changes in plant populations. When you look at before the invasion, area covered by native grasses in hectares was 640, which after the invasion declined to 210. What was the causes of the changes? So what you do, you first of all quote that kind of trend. You say, before the invasion, the area covered by the native grasses was 640 hectares, which declined to 210 hectares after the invasion. Full stop. There you earn your A1 mark. You earn your A1 mark there because you've quoted the trend. But also continue and explain the trend, show the explanation of the trend. Why did they decline? So you can say, this is because native grasses, as they're called here, native grasses were out-competed by the exotic grass, which was an invasive species. Okay? The exotic grass was an invasive species. This is because the native grass were out-competed by the exotic grasses, which was an invasive species. Full stop. There you earn your explanation. You earn your explanation mark. You've explained. But you can continue and expound even more. Say, for example, the invasive species, into brackets exotic grasses, prevented the native grass from accessing enough sunlight for photosynthesis and from getting enough nutrients from the soil, such as mineral salts that are required for the proper growth and development of the native grass. If you continue and show us that, we shall award you an AP. You get a point like that. So the deeper the explanation given, the stronger the mark, the stronger the score. Scores are given in terms of layers. The deeper the explanation, the deeper the layer of the score given to you. Learn that on candidates. Okay. So be very strong while writing your papers. Don't kusasira yourself a lot, okay? Yes. Kusasira is an English word meaning to pity yourself like that. So that's very important. So I can continue and say, before the invasion, the area covered by the exotic shrub was 15. I'm referring to this table here, members. The area covered by exotic shrub was 15 hectares, which increased to 390 hectares after the invasion. Full stop. You get your A1 mark. You get a point? Full stop. Now I'm going to explain why did they increase. You say, before the invasion, you say, before the invasion, the area was small because native grasses had not yet adapted well, in the area. But after the invasion, native grasses had adapted to the area. But after the invasion, native grasses had adapted to the area, and there they were reproducing at a higher rate than the native grasses. There, we award you a marker there. Full stop. But we can award you the second layer of score. Now we can continue. You can go and expand more and say, for example, following their adaptation, they outcompeted native grasses for light and nutrients from the soil. There, you will be awarded an AP, and therefore they were able to reproduce faster, to photosynthesize like that. You write that kind of biology there. So we go back at our table. Now here, I've talked about that, whatever. Here, there's an estimated carrying capacity for antelopes. Estimated carrying capacity for antelopes. Okay? Now, from there, we can proceed. Estimated carrying capacity for the antelopes. Now, here, before the invasion, you can say, before the invasion, the estimated carrying capacity for the antelopes was higher, in brackets 1500, in brackets 1500, you can see 1500. Then after the invasion, it decreased to 650. Okay. This is because now you give the explanation there. After you get your A1 mark because of showing the trend. Now you can go and say this is because the exotic grasses, into brackets invasive species, reduced the population of the native grasses which are palatable to the antelopes, hence causing starvation in the antelopes, and the death rate began surpassing their birth rate, hence a decline in their population. There you get your explanation. You get a point? You get a mark of your explanation like that. You can proceed and say, in fact, native grasses outcompeted whatever. Exotic grasses outcompeted native grasses, reducing the which are part of the antelopes. Full stop. That one is an AE. Then when you cannot say, then the antelopes finally starved, and their death rate surpassed birth rate, or mortality rate surpassed natality rate, resulting into a drastic decline in their population. Then you can be awarded another layer of score. Always intend to write deeper biology. Don't go beyond what is required by the item, by the task I'm warning you. Don't write irrelevant content, but that relevant content, make it deep. Don't be shallow, because you are intending to win my next garden. So I'm going to write the same paper with you, and some will get A, others B, others C, others D, others even E. You get the point? That is the point. Always intend to win. Okay, we proceed. We've gone through carrying capacity of shown. Now, antelope population. Before the invasion, the antelopes, in fact, there I would even combine it. There you would even combine it with the carrying capacity. That after there you would connect, say, this is why the population of antelopes before the invasion was 1,180, which decreased to, after the invasion, which decreased to 540 after in the invasion. Okay, remember why I bring it? Because we've said that after the invasion, their mortality rate surpassed their natality rate. In other words, their death rate surpassed their birth rate. That's very fantastic. So we can proceed and say lion population. We talk about the lion population also. I think this one was the easiest item in the entire paper of this UTEC 2026 paper one. So lion population. Before the invasion, the lion population before the invasion was 96, which decreased to 42 after the invasion. Full stop. You get your mark for observing that. Then you can continue and say, this is because lions are predators which prey on antelopes. Following the decline in the population of antelopes, lions starved and their mortality rate surpassed their natality rate, hence resulting into a decline into their population. You've crushed that one very well. You have crushed that one very well. This long video is going to be on YouTube. You've crushed it very well. So we can proceed and say, now from there we have gone through plant population changes, animal population changes we have gone through. Then we have to go through changes in allele frequency. When you look at allele frequency, allele capital A that codes for camouflage in antelopes increased. It increased. Allele capital A increased. You see, capital A that codes for camouflage increased. It increased after 8 years of selective breeding. It increased, but that one that does not code for camouflage, it declined from, you see, this one is from 0.62 to 0.79. This one from 0.38 to 0.21. So this one decreased. Now, what could have been the causes of the changes in the frequencies of alleles? What do you think could have been the cause of the changes in the frequency of alleles? Okay, so proceed and interpret our content thoroughly. What could have caused the increase, the changes? Okay, so let's say allele capital A, which codes for camouflage of the antelopes against lions, into brackets predators, increased from 0.62 to 0.79 after 8 years. Full stop. There you earn your whatever you've noted, that one that they increased. Say this is because those antelopes that were camouflaging well, they were not easily spotted by lions and therefore not easily predated upon, giving themselves a chance to grow, reproduce, and increase in number while passing on their genes to the next generation. You see, that is very important to understand. Allele capital allele, this one here decreased. This one here decreased after 8 years selective breeding. Now this one here decreased. Why was it decreasing? It was decreasing because it was easily spotted upon by lions, hence resulting into most of them being killed and therefore failing to reproduce to the next whatever. But also don't forget another factor that caused the increase of this or this decrease of this. The increase of this one, another reason you can give is that it was favored by artificial selection. It was selected for by human beings because they are breeding but intending to increase this allele. Meaning these ones whenever they got spotted, they were wiped out. Who wiped them out? By man. Man is a very important factor in terms of ecological balance. Don't joke with man. So that is a very important thing. So this one also decreased because of it being selected against by man artificially. So that one can also give it. Now they're telling you that defend the environmental expertise recommendation and advise the wildlife authority accordingly. Now the expert recommends these ones here. You defend them where possible. But they are telling you in the very item they are saying, in the very item they said that however, the authority wanted to choose one recommendation that would solve their challenges. Now, out of these three, they want to choose one. Now, let's go through and we see. The first recommendation of the expert, allowing random mating during captive breeding of antelopes. Now, captive breeding of antelopes, captive breeding of antelopes, if you allow random mating, this is what you are going to do. You are going to be agreeing with Hadewinberg's equilibrium. After some time, you may be intending to agree with it. Remember, Hadewinberg's equilibrium says that the frequency of both dominant and recessive allele remains constant from generation to generation, provided particular conditions exist. For example, which condition? Very large population, random breeding, every member is fertile, no genetic drift, no migration, like that. So if allow random mating, you are intending to cause the population to go into equilibrium, which is not right. For us, what we want is to shock the equilibrium, to make sure that those ones having capital A that can camouflage increase in number at the expense of the other ones which cannot camouflage. In other words, which can easily be spotted by predators, which are the lions in this case. So I think, so you say, so you can write by saying, allowing random mating during captive breeding of antelopes would favor the population to go into equilibrium. It would favor both alleles, capital A and small a, to go into equilibrium, to go into equilibrium, into genetic equilibrium, since this will favor the existence of both of them and being both passed to the next generation. Full stop. Therefore, it is not, it won't, therefore I don't recommend this one to be chosen, since the intention is to increase the frequency of the dominant allele. Okay? Now, using appropriate herbicides to control, the exotic shrub. This one, you will say, using appropriate herbicides to control the exotic shrub is good, since it kills it as it is allowing the other native grass to grow. Full stop. However, the herbicide used should be selective enough not to kill the native grasses. You see, native grasses, which are the food for antelopes. You see, you put that one there. So it's as if that one, now you are recommending it. Okay. Now, close monitoring of antelope population is good to detect whether the allele for capital A is increasing, and also the other traits such as large size and long horns are also increasing. Okay, increasing, and act accordingly. Now, since you want to recommend only one, if of course this one is now out because it tends to drive the allele frequency into equilibrium, which we don't want, so that one we are phasing it out. Now, secondly, using appropriate herbicide to control and whatever, these two are competing. Monitoring is good, but also killing the exotic whatever shrub is so good. But remember, there is a condition. They want to choose one. Should we leave the exotic grass to grow to increase eating up the native grass? But because we are monitoring and we monitor as the others are being eaten away, causing atoms to starve and die? No. Meaning this one is also out. So this one wins. So you end up by saying that I recommend the authorities to choose using appropriate herbicides to control the exotic shrub if the herbicide used is selective, not to kill the native grasses. It would help increase the antelope population. With that one, I wish you success in your USA exams. I remain in BiologyKingUg. I request you to follow my YouTube channel. Invite your friends to follow my YouTube channel. If it grows, biology is going to the entire world, but also I will add, if it grows up to at a particular point, I'll be earning some money from it. Won't you be happy if I also get money? So if whoever who wishes me to get money also, follow my YouTube channel. As it grows, with time I earn out of it. I earn from it. I've just opened it. Thank you very much. May God bless you.